All right, guys, Justin here with Braveheart Training Academy. I want to do a review of this new holster that I got. I was given this to go ahead and look over and review and to give some thoughts on it for one of the shops that I work at locally. I have been carrying probably, I've been carrying about 5 months using this Black Arch holster here, which is a what they call those hybrid Kydex leather. It's nice, breathable, high dollar, not the most expensive holster out there, but up there for sure. I do like it. However, I do really like the retention, and so we're going to come back to this and kind of talk about it probably a little bit more when we do some comparison. And so I just want to show, here's my P365 unloaded, clear. Okay, everybody can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and holster this right now and just put it back into my Black Arch there. All right, so we got the rounded by Concealment Express Druid inside the waistband, outside the waistband holster. So it says gear for today's well-rounded gun owner. All right, so let's go ahead and take it out and take a look. So one thing I do like is this holster is a combination holster in terms of your ability to modify it for your needs. It's going to come with some extra parts and screws, obviously, so that you can configure it how you need. Comes with some of these kind of rubber-like grommets here to help with the comfortability of the holster and how it operates while you're wearing it, and different screws for the setup. So right now, I do have it set up so that I can do the outside the waistband with this little paddle here. It's got the hooks on here so that you can kind of attach it and hook it inside your pants. It'll grab on. What I will say right off the bat from putting this on and wearing it, both as a kind of an appendix style holster and as an outside the waistband paddle clip here, kind of flimsy. And so I'm coming from this setup here where we got two nice metal discrete mounts, which really makes it very stationary while the firearm is in the holster and on the person, and it doesn't move around a whole lot. It moves some with when you move and when you sit down in different positions, standing, sitting, kneeling, etc. But it feels really stable as a platform, and I don't feel like I need to worry too much about working with this holster on, which I do pretty much every day, picking up heavy things, doing instruction, and doing other things like that, where I'm wearing this holster and it doesn't really get in the way. Obviously, anytime you're wearing a firearm on your person versus not, you're going to be more comfortable without one. But saying all that, so far so good. I really do feel like this gets the job done in terms of comfort, the comfort aspect for sure. And the retention as well. But again, we'll get back into that. Not a review on the Black Arch. Obviously, I really like that holster. But I did, since this is one of the higher end recommended holsters out there, I did want to use it for comparison. So when we get back to this Druid outside, inside the waistband holster kind of combo, again, that first negative is this is not super supported. Maybe with a little bit bigger belt, tighter belt, it might feel a little better. I'm sure with maybe a little bit of adjustment on the angle, that might help as well in terms of how it's sitting for me personally. But again, that was one that I didn't really love. The other thing here is I'm going to go ahead and remove this one from this holster, obviously show you retention wise. Pretty simple, clicks in there, pretty nice. I would say that the retention on here, I have the screws tightened down pretty much all the way, and you know, it doesn't come out super easy. Now obviously when it's on your person, you're going to be able to pull it out. So retention wise, I would say in comparison, this is pretty close. This is going to be better. It feels better. And I found when I was wearing this and I had the firearm in there, it was leaving a couple more marks than I was used to seeing as compared to this Kydex. And that's going to just come down to some of the more specific construction on how the Kydex is going to be on the frame. You probably can't see it, but definitely right here, a lot more rub on the side of the frame than on this holster in particular. And one of the things with that is simply This has got leather on this side and Kydex on one side, and so you're going to get a little bit better wear and tear on the actual slide and the frame of the firearm with this type of holster than you might with a Kydex holster like this. Now, I'm sure after it wears in, you might see some improvement there. But overall retention, I'd say definitely good enough. Not quite as smooth as this one. And some of that might just have to do with the fact that with your Black Arch holster in this configuration, you have both of these clips, which make for a more stable platform. All right, so moving on to inside the waistband. Again, you can switch this around. This can be for a left or a right-handed shooter, which is really nice. You do have this nice grip here. What is that called? It's a little claw there to help hold it in place to push against your belt. And so let me just make sure I'm, yeah, adjustable retention and the claw kit. So this claw has two sizes. It has a large size. I don't know if you can see the difference there. Large and kind of like I would say a medium. And so I use that large because that's one thing that is kind of a negative with this setup is I don't, even though I'm using this little wedge here, it doesn't provide a whole lot to push that frame against the body to help with that concealment. This one, however, this does work as long as it stays in position. So when you have it with your clip on here and you have it mounted with this single clip, okay, as long as it's staying kind of straight up and down, I did see a good amount of pressure put on by this claw to help keep that firearm more up against. But as soon as it kind of twisted, because it only has this plastic clip, I did find that the claw wasn't working as optimally, okay? And so for my more dynamic use, being that if you're going to wear this holster, you know, every single day, depending on what you're doing, the consistency of where this holster is going to line up might not be quite as good as something like this because of that single clip. Now, saying all that, that's going to be pretty standard for this type of clip, right? So the advantage you get is a little easier to put on and off, a little more simplistic, taking up less space on your overall belt area along your waist. And again, with the different kind of attachments here with this paddle, you can definitely get some advantage from a more simplistic holster like this. But again, for me and my perspective, you know, when we're considering what we're trying to accomplish, and, you know, obviously concealment, super important. We need to keep the firearm concealed. We need it to be comfortable enough that we're going to wear the holster all day, week in, week out, for whatever we're doing. And then ultimately, we need the gear to work towards the goal. Two major things here. You want it to retain the firearm when you're not drawing from the firearm. And that includes the potential for it being dislodged in certain circumstances where you might bump into things or someone might, you know, bump into it or something like that. You don't want your firearm coming out of this Kydex. You want it to be snug enough that it won't be easily dropped out. I know that people often do this type of thing to show, okay, it's not coming out. Arguably, does that prove something? Probably a little bit. If it falls out when you do that, it's clearly not near tight enough. But I would argue it should be really snug so that you can't just pull it out really easy. Okay, I had to use some force to pull it out there. It shouldn't be super easy to pull out unless it's mounted properly to your belt. And so I would say both of these do a good job with that. This one being a little less stable of a platform. And so point remains, when you're wearing this as a inside the waistband holster for concealment, this one clip doesn't quite do as good of a job. And in my mind, the way I consider wearing a firearm for protection, being a good guy out in the world and making sure that you're prepared for all the situations, I want my gear to work for me. And if I did happen to run into a situation that presented itself that I needed to defend my life or my loved ones, I want my gear to work. And a lot of that comes down to confidence. Not saying that this gear wouldn't work. I would say that it would work. But confidence plays a huge part in my ability to put this firearm on me every single day and feel like I'm going to succeed. Okay. And so I would definitely give this overall rating, a high rating. Not necessarily put a number to it, but I'd give it an A. Maybe you know, an A- overall, and mostly because it's a do-all holster in terms of your ability to do an inside and outside. For the price, it's pretty decent. For me to do the same with this setup, I did buy a backer that was meant for outside the waistband to attach to a belt. The setup takes longer. It is a more stable platform, however. I have to take this one off and switch it all out. It does take a lot longer. But overall cost, this is about half the cost to accomplish the same goal. And so for you guys that are looking to save a little bit of money, it wouldn't be the worst idea to go for this Druid holster by Concealment Express. And so I definitely think, again, A- probably is a good grade for it with everything that you get. It does seem to be high quality, and it's something that I will probably spend a little bit more time wearing. I'm definitely going to, for the time being, I'm going to keep it set up so that when I get home, if I'd like to, I can go ahead and put the firearm on the outside of the waistband instead of wearing the firearm for concealment. So again, Druid Concealment Express inside, outside the waistband holster. Check them out. Let me know what you guys think. Take care.